GenderCrush.com.
Welcome to another edition of the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. We are your hosts,
Jessica!
And I am Chris Heaton. Oh, Jessica. What an age we live in. We are T-minus 2 weeks away, or a week and a half away from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Like, we're living in an age where there's Harry Potter spin-offs. Can you believe that?
Yes, and they're not really kaijus, but they are giant magical creatures.
They are. I do bring this up because it is a Warner Brothers film, and we will be getting a certain gigantic monster trailer with that film in about a week and a half. As part of the full news we're going to be talking about. Yes. So we'll be getting the full Kong Skull Island, which is now officially part of the Kaiju-verse that Legendary is creating. Fair warning, while you're listening to this, I've had a few beers before I recorded this. Some friends from out of town came in, so we partied a little hardy. I promise I won't swear, but I can't promise I won't sound a little off-tiltered. So anyway, a lot of stuff going on. Last time we talked, we reviewed Shin Godzilla to much acclaim. While that was going on, it did so darn well, see, I didn't swear, that Funimation, I almost said Legendary, expanded it for like another week. I think it topped out over, pushing close to $2 million? I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, definitely, it got more. I'm not so sure what the exact numbers were.
I am looking up right now. I think it did something like... It did just shy of $2 million, which is astounding for a limited release film. That's because all you fools went out there and watched it several times when you could, so kudos to you. It showed that there is still a market for this stuff. This should kind of make Legendary feel a little bit better that, they're moving forward with this Kaiju-verse. It should make Toho actually feel a little bit better than the fact that there's still a market in America for this stuff as well. Like, we round eyes still want to see our giant monsters done, in classic Japanese tradition. My present company not excluded. So, good times were had on that. I actually do have a giveaway, so stay tuned to the end of this episode. It is Shin Godzilla related. So, Jessica, please remind me of that if I do forget before we close out the show, okay?
No problem.
So, on that note, we do have a few things to talk about this episode. First off, speaking of Legendary, as we did say, the new Kong trailer is coming. When it does come out, we will review it ad nauseum on the next episode, hopefully. But in the interim, there is some news to be talking about on the Legendary side. Mostly around Godzilla 2 and a little bit about Kong. So, about 4 months ago, we learned that Gareth Edwards had exited Godzilla 2. Am I off on that, Jessica?
Say that for me one more time.
Okay. About 4 months ago, did Gareth leave Godzilla 2? Okay, so roughly around that time, he exited. Not surprisingly.
Yes, he did. Yes. Yeah. He announced that he was not doing that one. Yeah.
Not surprisingly, considering that he did that and the new Star Wars, which, by the way, looks splendid. Oh, I can't wait for Rogue One. Can't wait, Jessica. These are the movies that I want to see out of the anthology films. Like, I want these kinds of stories. We're getting a young Han Solo film. The main reason I'm going to go watch it now is because a certain community actor by the name of Donald Glover has been cast as a young Lando Calrissian, which is choice casting, so he's the reason why I will go see that film. But, that being said, I don't want to see a young Yoda film. I don't want to see any, tie-ins to those characters. I want this kind of stuff, like getting the Death Star plans, like that kind of thing. Or when Disney was first scouting talent for the films, apparently Matthew Vaughn pitched a film in which it was 7 samurai with Jedi, and Chloe Moretz was to be the lead of this particular film. I don't know whatever happened to it. I don't know if they're going through with it or not, but it sounded really cool. That's the stuff I want to see. I want to see that kind of cool stuff. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Gareth Edwards. Coming back around to it. Sorry, I told you I've had a few to drink tonight.
It's okay. It's okay. I know you said no young Yoda, but I would love to see baby Yoda.
Well, you love adorable things, though. You can't help yourself.
Like baby Yoda, that would be amazing. And he grows up to be like the kick-ass little thing that he is. Hell yeah.
With those just big, like, Dory, like eyes and ears and stuff like that. Like, if he had, like...
Oh my god, he'd be amazing.
If he had baby Dory eyes, you would just completely, like, fall apart, wouldn't you?
I would freak out if there was like a little chibi movie version of like young Yoda. I would watch that movie 7 times over, and even if it wasn't good, I would still watch it.
Because you just can't help yourself with the adorableness. It's like a corgi in like a suit. You just can't help yourself, can you?
Yeah. I like cute things.
You do, but you're a young Asian woman. You can't help yourself. You're attracted to these things like moths to a light. If it's adorable, you can't help yourself.
It's terrible. My home has like savage art of like Godzilla and Batman. At the same time, there's like a pile of plushies.
Did you see that little like GIF that's going around? It's of the hedgehog that goes into the dinosaur puppet.
Oh yeah, and it starts to get savage. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that I can see that. Like there would be an atomic bomb going off behind you, but you could not turn around because you cannot stop yourself from looking at the adorableness that's going on in front of you.
Yeah, that might be the case. I've legit turned a sharp right while all my friends continued forward at a convention because something caught my eye.
And was it cutesy?
Yeah, it was something cute. Or it was something Godzilla related. Then I just make a sharp turn right, and my friends have gone eight aisles without knowing that I'm already gone.
You're like like the small child that gets lost in the grocery store. Like, the mom keeps moving, and she turns around and is like, wait, where'd my child go? You're still, like, 4 aisles over on the cereal just looking at whether or not you want Count Chocula or Cocoa Puffs.
That's true. I went to the Del Toro exhibition that's currently at the LACMA.
How was that?
It was really good. It didn't have as much Pacific Rim stuff as I would like, but my friends flipped out because they were like, Jess! I was like, what? They were like, you should have been Little Mako, like, for Halloween. And I was like, man, all I have to do is get a blue coat, like, have red shoes and hold one and just limp around crying.
True.
And I said, but I would need someone in the back to, like, sprinkle fake ashes on me. So...
I'm pretty sure you could find somebody to do that for you. Like, you could walk around a convention center with someone in, like, an Onibaba outfit as you're running away from them. Like, doing one of those, like, cosplay recreations.
That would be my dream.
Somebody at WonderCon, make it happen. She will be there. We can get her to do this. It's in Anaheim this year. Come down. Dress like Onibaba. She will dress like young Mako. We could have somebody in a Raleigh outfit just trying to kind of run next to you to try to reason with you.
Young Riley.
But other than that, I mean, how was the exhibition? Because I have wanted to get down there. I just have not had the time.
It's actually really, really, really good. I think a few friends who went to the Tim Burton one and I believe a Tarantino one thought it would be something more focused on his films, but it's actually collections from his home.
Yeah, it's like he just emptied out his collector's home, right? All right. So it's like a lot of his
Yeah.
like, cool
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
Is his giant Frankenstein head
Yeah.
on display there?
Yes, it is. It is. And, his Bleak House is the name, like
Yeah.
all the stuff from his second home where he works and everything. There's, Crimson Peak stuff. There's stuff from Hellboy and all kinds of things. Pan's Labyrinth is actually a big one. And then a lot of his personal collection from various, like, monsters and Frankensteins and, like, sideshow freaks and all kinds of stuff. So there's definitely some creepy stuff that I just had to, like, turn my eyes away. But I did overall very, very much enjoy the exhibition a lot.
Okay. So, would it be something that our audience would enjoy if they went and saw it?
I think so. Yes, if they err more on the side of horror, yes. But if you're expecting to go in and see like 18 Pacific Rim things, there's not really too much of that.
All right. Well, it is his most recent of works. I would assume that he probably doesn't have a ton of stuff in there. I know he kept a few maquettes. But other than that, I mean, he's a collector. He's a collector first.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He is. And there's some comic books as well in a room that he chose. And they're mostly like the Tales from the Crypt type comics and also Man-Thing and Swamp Thing. So it's actually, I like the Man-Thing and Swamp Thing because he has some comics that I also have. So I never really collected Tales from the Crypt or anything. Again, that's more horror-based. So, he has a lot of his stuff. It's really interesting.
Were they the Len Wein run of Swamp Thing, or were they the Alan Moore run of Swamp Thing?
More the Alan Moore and also a lot of the older things as well.
Okay, makes sense. He does have an affinity for that kind of stuff. So yeah. So,
He does.
Well, yeah, I mean, the man has pretty much just made his name on monsters. So he hasn't pulled the Sam Raimi, Wes Craven, mid-career crisis where they're like, I'm going to direct a non-horror film for once, and it doesn't really go well for them. Like when Sam Raimi directed for Love of the Game, which I saw in theaters, not bad, but not the greatest thing in the world. Or when Wes Craven did that violin movie with oh god, what's her name? She's up for an Oscar every year. It's gonna bother me. But anyway, yeah, he hasn't gone that route yet. Like, he's firmly entrenched in his monsters still. So, yeah, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, Legendary. Back on topic. So it comes back to Gareth Edwards, who is no longer directing Godzilla 2, which he is not fully in support of. Because when they announced he was going to direct all three, I'm like, no, that's going to be bad. Because otherwise, then you get, like the aforementioned Sam Raimi, when you don't want to do a part 3, then you get a Spider-Man 3, which is a complete mess. Although I still like that film for, various reasons. But yeah, it is a mess of a movie. He can move on and do other things. Godzilla is not something that he has to do completely. So Legendary is now without a director, and I figured that sooner or later, because it has a 2019 release date, we will be hearing something very soon, especially around the holiday season. And I was spot on with that, because this last week, Legendary announced that they have hired a pair of writers for Godzilla 2 in the Krampus / Trick or Treat team of Michael Dougherty?
Yeah, Dougherty, Michael.
Dougherty, thank you. And
Dougherty, yeah.
Yes, and Zach Shields, who both did Krampus for Legendary, which was a surprise hit for the company last year too. That movie did exceptionally well for a small, low-budget, Christmas-themed horror film. So they were originally set to pen it, in which they are still set to go. When that news broke, I'm like, you know what? I give it a few hours until they announce that possibly Dougherty is going to direct. And lo and behold, Chris was once again vindicated when word broke from ScreenCrush.com that Dougherty very much is in line for the director's chair right now. So there hasn't been an official word from Legendary, so I think they're just waiting until production gets ready to start before. But it looks like Dougherty is going to direct Godzilla 2, of which makes me very excited because I love Trick or Treat. It's a fantastic horror anthology film. Let's not forget the man also co-wrote X-Men 2 with David Hayter. Well, actually, David Hayter did a draft, and then Dougherty came in and did his draft that eventually director Bryan Singer ended up using. X-Men 2, fantastic film. He also wrote Superman Returns for Bryan Singer, which, alright, 3 out of 4 is not bad, Superman Returns is, it's okay. It's an interesting mess of a film. Great Superman. Poor choice of sticking to the Donner continuity. I don't know. What did you ever think? I never asked you about Superman Returns. What did you think of that, Jessica?
The first time there was only 2 movies where I ever, curled up in a fetal position and, rocked back and forth and wanted to, get up and leave.
Yes.
The first one was Spider-Man 3 when Tobey Maguire starts dancing.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, evil Tobey Maguire starts dancing. And the second part was, I don't remember when in Superman Returns, but I got that reaction.
Was it when
now, here's the thing. I'm a firm believer of when you complain about something, the world will give you something worse. And I've seen it several times in my life. And personally, for me, Man of Steel was not the Superman for me. It's Superman for many other people, and I think that's fine. Whatever gets you to start reading comics is great. But this Superman does not resonate for me. So after Man of Steel, I had a brand new, fresh perspective and, appreciation for Superman Returns.
Interesting. Very interesting. So it pretty much bit you so hard that the thing that came after it, you went back to this original thing.
Yes, it did. It did,
Fascinating. Yep. Even though Superman does not throw a single punch in this film either.
Oh, with Superman Returns?
Yes.
Are you talking about?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He does not... He does not do much.
No, he doesn't.
But you know what? He didn't lift that Kryptonite Island, though, so...
He did something strong, which is why, look, this is part of my reasoning of why, you should not have the same guy do the same thing, or, if you're going to redo something, don't, take what made it work, take what you liked out of it the first time and then kind of add your own spin to it. The problem with Superman Returns is that Bryan Singer so wanted it to be a Richard Donner film. And only Richard Donner makes Richard Donner films. That's including Timeline, people. That's including Timeline. The problem with that is that he was about 28 years a little too late to make that film. Because nobody remembered, well, at least nobody from my generation on really recalls Superman 2 as much as the generation before us. Now, a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, look, Superman, the Donner Superman films are fine. They're great. They are very dated, but the thing that makes those movies work is Christopher Reeves, first and foremost. The second thing that makes them work is Gene Hackman, who is a super wacky Lex Luthor with real estate scams. Kevin Spacey, great Lex Luthor. Brandon Roth, actually a really good Superman. Just the whole continuation of the post-Lois Superman hookup and them having the kid. You threw everybody off, and then as much as you want to make Superman super squeaky and clean, he got a little creepy at points when he's just watching from afar into Lois's window and his apparent child too. And the whole point of Superman is just he's lonely. That's the whole point of the film. He's lonely. And then we get Lex doing another real estate scam. So, again, as I said, Michael Dougherty, for me, 2 out of 3 isn't bad. I haven't seen Krampus yet. I have heard people do nothing but rave about Krampus. So they said it's a nice throwback to 80s horror films like Gremlins. So Sounds great. I probably will watch it this Christmas. But I absolutely love Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat's a amazing film. So if anybody, especially under the legendary payroll right now, is more than qualified to direct Godzilla 2, it is this man. So if it turns out to be true, and it turns out that he is the final pick and he will be directing, I think we will all get what we wanted out of a sequel to Godzilla. That a lot of us were asking very different things out of the first one. I think we will get a great Monster Bash film, and more than likely, I'm going to go on the limb that all three, Rodan, Mothra, and Ghidorah, will be used in this film. Especially if they're building to King Kong vs. Godzilla, they're not going to sit around and wait on King Ghidorah, unless they throw Ghidorah in the third film. But God only knows how that'll work. So, Dodry, whatever his name is, excellent pick. If it turns out he does have the job, which I got a feeling he actually does right now. So we shall see where Legendary goes with this, especially considering that the news that came out with this is that Legendary, now under their Chinese masters, are putting together a writer's room for their Kaiju verse. So they are definitely planning more Kong films. They're definitely planning more Godzilla films post King Kong vs. Godzilla, or whatever it's going to be called. And look, we're through the looking glass, people. We're living in a golden age where, as I've said before, we got Toho going on, where they're making an animated Godzilla movie. That alone we should be jumping for joy for. But that Legendary's like, yes, we're going to crank these out until the end of time. So sit back and get ready. We should all be like, just tingling right now. The fact that they're going to do more Kong films, like more Kong adventures, like him maybe possibly fighting like a giant centipede of some sort that rampages through, let's say, Shanghai, because that's how things work today. I am down for that. I am super down for that. Or they could twist in a couple of the Toho monsters and work them into a Kong film that could work their way back to a Godzilla film. Who knows? But it's a great time to be alive, though. Oh, it's a great time. Great time, Jessica.
It is. And I was telling a friend of mine, like, the reason why people complain is because they're not getting the live action that they always wanted or what they thought that they would get. But the issue is the fact that we're getting it at all is a positive to look forward to.
Very much so. Like, be thankful we are getting what we are getting. We're very spoiled these days. Like, we've gotten so much good that now we're like, what else you got? Like, we're numb to it now. Like, here's the thing. Best example, I wasn't really looking forward to Doc Strange. The previews kind of made it look like, they're really harping on Inception a lot. Turns out that is not the movie that Marvel was marketing. It is. Doc Strange was fantastic. Did you see it?
I did see it.
Were you like me, pleasantly surprised by how well it turned out to be?
It was less of an action than I thought it would be, but I chalked that up to sequel, because if you blow everything in the first film,
yes,
you're not, if you keep upping the ante, like, there's a certain limit to it. I was impressed with how much they spent on not so much his origin, but his training. And I know someone named Brian Walton. You can look him up on Facebook. He's a lovely chap. And he says he saw Doctor Strange before I did, and he had written something that I actually laughed at the time because I knew it was most likely going to be true. And then I watched the film afterwards, and then I was like, oh, I get what he means. And he says, love Doctor Strange. It was good. He goes, it was oddly what the Green Lantern movie should have been. And then I was like, oh, okay. And when I saw it, one of the major things that Green Lantern kind of glossed over was how long his training would have been, plus the intergalactic stuff. And here, they really, really emphasized on training, studying, trying to learn, trying to get better. At the end, he's not the all-wonderful Sorcerer Supreme as,
he's
in the comics was, but he will get there in the second movie, in the third movie. So they really went through his training, and of course we saw intergalactic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw it, I was like, okay, it makes sense. Like if they followed the similar notions, the Green Lantern film would have been something different.
Mm-hmm.
So I I did like it. I really, really enjoyed Christine Palmer's character.
Mm-hmm.
If you can look her up on Marvel, Marvel.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked her character because she was never petty or hateful or, any of that negative stereotype. So I did like Christine Palmer. I liked, all the after credits. I don't want to spoil it, I guess, for those who haven't seen it. Some people may be waiting till after the election to watch it as like a award, like a reward for themselves.
It's like we've gotten through this. So, we've gotten through the media tornado.
Maybe
now we will feast upon Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I mean, the main villain looked different than what I had expected from the comics.
Which
in the comics, he looks a certain way, and then in the film, he looked a little like, all right, okay.
Are you talking about
but
Hannibal? Are you talking about Hannibal?
I understood what they were trying to do. Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
Are you talking about Hannibal, or are you talking about the main villain? Trying to
be no, not Hannibal. The main villain. Okay. The main villain.
Yes, because he has a very unique look about himself. So, yeah, they kept some of the traits, but then they tweaked others. So, but it was a very clever finish to how Strange fought him, though. Like, I would give that full credit.
It is.
Like, the film...
It is.
Like, that film did not lull on a lot of the stereotypes that some of the Marvel origin films lull on. Like, especially, like, the romantic subplot and, the whole, learning everything. Like, the whole training sequence. Like, it got to the point it needed to get as fast as it needed to get, but just enough time to kind of sit there and really take it in, though. And they did just the right amount of explaining everything, too. Where you're like, okay, I'm good. Let's move on. So...
Right, and some people didn't like the way Doctor Strange fought the villain, the main villain, and they felt it was kind of like a cheap way out from the writers. And I was like, yeah, but if you're also seeing it from the character's point of view, it's torture.
Exactly.
So, there's sacrifice to that. So,
yes.
I think a lot of them were probably used to more of fist fighting.
Yeah.
And everything.
Like
so something more physical and action-filled in that way.
And not only that, the most visually appealing Marvel film to date, too. Like, it definitely did not... It definitely stepped outside the safe boundaries a lot of the Marvel films really set themselves up into. Like, it's a visual feast. Like, definitely see it in, 3D. I saw it on IMAX, and woo! Good times. Very good times. Real quick, there's some Pacific Rim 2 news we need to talk about. Filming is underway. John Boyega has been tweeting from the set, so everything is looking hunky-dory. They have a new cast member was announced this week, and he has ties to Tokusatsu. So his name is, I'm going to butcher this, Makenyu? Mackenyu, Medea, I believe that's his name. Maeda. Sorry, it's late. I'm a little tipsy. Who was in Kamen Rider Drive: Surprise Future, the movie. He announced on Twitter that he has joined the cast down in Australia for Pacific Rim 2, which is still technically going under the sequel name of Maelstrom. Don't know if that will stay that way, though. They might have something else for it, too. So, they're expanding upon the international flavor of the film still. So, as it should, because that's the main reason why the film is getting made, because China liked it a lot. Japan, I guess, liked it, but China liked it a lot more, so... But if you're doing a movie about giant monsters and giant robots, you kind of, by law, need to have a Japanese guy or girl in there somewhere, somehow. I think that's, NATO, put that out there, years ago. If you're going to have this, you need to have this. All right. Real quick. Also, did you hear the news, Jessica? We talk about Voltron on the show every once in a while. You and I are big fans of the Netflix series.
Yes, we are.
Yes, and you're still hoping against hope that Shiro does not bite it like his original counterpart.
Yeah, I mean, I get the feeling which direction he's going, but you know, we'll see. I don't want to like assume anything, and then I want to go in kind of fresh.
You don't want to worry about the worst. You want to brace for the best. Well, good. 2 bits of news. Good thing is that we get to see what happens to Shiro and the rest of the crew when Voltron returns to Netflix come January of 2017. So, that really, like, maddening cliffhanger that left on that I had a meltdown over for about 4 hours before I calmed myself with a nice cup of green tea, and then still said, "You sons of mothers." You toyed with they toyed with my emotions, Jessica. They toyed with them so hard. Like we looked like we were getting Lotor. Like Lotor was coming in. I'm just like, no, there's 30 seconds left. They're not done fighting. What's going on? So it looks like they filmed both seasons back to back, and they just had them. Netflix is like, oh, you fools. We already have them already stashed. We knew this was going to be a hit. So season 2 was announced at New York Comic Con a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now. Be hitting Netflix in January, so we get to see what happens to Shiro and the rest of the Voltron force, including the announcement of some really crummy-looking toys, which was really disappointing to me because I was really looking forward to like action figures for Voltron Legendary Defender, and unfortunately, Playmates, who's doing them, yeah, I guess they're fine if you're a kid. I'm an adult who likes expensive toys, and I was hoping for something like that. Then again, I'm kind of projecting my own insecurities upon a toy company, so I really should not be doing that. That being said, apparently Voltron is back in such a big way that Universal, who has the deal, who I believe owns DreamWorks Animation, who made the deal with Netflix for the new series, they have the movie rights now, and apparently they're like, all right, well, this is popular right now, so in the last 10 years, various studios have tried, and now Universal is taking a crack at the Voltron movie. The big difference here is that, unlike the last few attempts, they actually have a legitimate writer already penning the script, and he is none other than the aforementioned X-Men 2 writer, David Hayter. So he's taking a crack at the script for Voltron, which now, if it's at Universal, I would put dimes to dollar that Legendary gets in on this somehow. Like, they get in on that, sweet giant robot money. And we might actually see a Voltron film happen at last, for realsies. For realsies, Jessica.
I know. I remember seeing, like, a concept poster for it.
Yeah, that was back when, I think, Justin Marks, who... he has 2 big writing credits to his name right now. He has The Jungle Book that Jon Favreau made, which is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, go rent it. Go get it off whatever you watch it. Go get the DVD. It's fantastic. I loved that Jungle Book. He wrote that. He also wrote a little movie called Legend of Chun-Li, which was a tire fire of a film. So, turns out you could make a Street Fighter movie worse than the 1994 Raul Julia Street Fighter movie. It's not. Apparently, it was very hard to do, but they managed to do it, and Justin Marks was the guy that wrote that script. At the same time, he had apparently landed a bunch of gigs. So, while Street Fighter was being made back in 2005, 2006, he also got the gig to write a He-Man movie, which they called Grayskull, which pretty much threw out a lot of the mythos and made it into like a 300-esque film, which on paper sounds good. In execution doesn't sound like it's going to be the greatest thing in the world. Thankfully they didn't use that. He also did a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea script, which I heard was not that great. He also did a script for Voltron in which the lions were all made of like scrap parts, and the war between the Drool and Voltron Force took place on Earth, mostly in Mexico of all places. And yeah, so let me tell you a quick story. 21-year-old Chris, who is a massive film nerd and takes things way too seriously on this end, heard about this, read tidbits of the script, and, his nerd rage flowed. It has ebbed in many of years. You'd be surprised. I was at Comic-Con, of all places, about 2005-ish, so this was right when the Street Fighter movie was coming out. I'm at the Capcom booth. They're promoting Street Fighter 5, or Street Fighter 4, and they're doing a poster signing. So I walk up, I'm like, oh, hey, can I get one? They're like, yes. And this is back when Comic-Con gave away giant, full-size, luxurious posters. People made full 37 by 40 posters that they would give out. You can grab a bunch of these things. Nowadays, it's all these crappy mini posters. So I had it signed by the guy, and then the guy, I'm like, well, what do you do? Because it's just people sitting there. They don't even tell you what these people do. Like, it could be just some, stranger, just like he just grabbed a bunch of these things and is pretending to be someone who works for Capcom. Signing it, and then there's another dude sitting next to him signing it. He's like, oh, would you like this guy? I'm like, sure. And as he's signing it, the gentleman tells me, oh, hey, do you know who that is? I'm like, I do not. And he's like, that is the guy that wrote the Chun-Li movie that's coming out. And I had one of those moments where I snapped into my head, and I'm like, okay, I could do one of two things right now. I could, uphold my, nerd cred, and I could go off on this guy about what the hell are you thinking? You did all this, you're doing this in these films, blah, blah, blah. Just tear him a new one. I don't do any of that. I simply go, hey, can I ask you a question? Yeah? How you getting all these gigs? I don't know. I wrote a script for Voltron. They think I can do cartoons. I'm like, alright. See ya. And I walked off. Pretty much showing that it doesn't matter how angry you get about certain things, it's not really going to change a lot of things, especially when it comes to films. Because once they're in production, you can't do much. So, and then, years later, I would sit back and the guy is just trying to make a living. He's trying to write films. He's trying to just, do the best he can. Who the hell am I, who has not done anything to start yelling, to completely go off on this guy at Comic-Con, which I'm glad I didn't, even though my friend's like, dude, I thought you were going to go off on the guy. I'm like, no, cooler heads prevailed on that. So, when I bring this around to the fact that whenever we complain about certain things, we don't like the look of certain things, it all comes down to how you vote with your wallet, if you will. If you didn't like, how Shin Godzilla looked or anything like that, you didn't have to go see Shin Godzilla. They would have gotten the message. If you didn't like how Legendary did their thing, you didn't have to pay to go see Legendary. If you did go pay to see Legendary, you still voted, and that showed Legendary, hey, at least people are willing to turn out. So, really kind of think before you really, start to complain and then invest. Because most times I found with people, as much as they complain, they still go see still see anything that it's put in front of them. So that's
like every single Transformers film.
Exactly, they make so much money, and they're not stopping. They are never. Jessica, they will make those movies until the sun burns out and the last neutron folds in upon itself, and then releases a new Big Bang, creating a new universe. Those films will be the leftover, like Galactus.
God.
They will be the Galactus of that universe. They will be the survivors of the old universe, and thus have to feed upon the supple, energy-rich nature of this new universe. And that is how they will survive. They will keep going. They will form into a robot of their own. The DVDs and whatever media happens in 8 billion years from now will be its own entity. And we will, what I'm sure will be the roach/bunny people of the far distant new universe will be running in terror from this thing.
Oh my goodness.
It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. Much like kaiju films, they're never going to end either. It's a golden age. It's a golden age. Alright, we're going to keep this episode short, mostly because it's late, and tomorrow is, as we're recording this, it is voting day. And Jessica is a bit of a political junkie, so she is getting prepped for tomorrow, are you not?
I am, but I also already mailed in my ballot.
Mm-hmm.
my mother did ask me, did you vote for Godzilla? And I was like, no. What? No, I wouldn't write it in. She was like, okay. It was like halfway between like curiosity and also extreme rage if I did, because that means, I threw away something that was given to me, the ability to vote both as a minority and as a female. So my mom didn't want me to squander that. I don't blame her for that. But she also was like, I wouldn't put it past you to do it. And I was like, no. I was like, no. But no, I already did mine, and I am just waiting to see how it goes tomorrow. However, I think I'm going to try to treat tomorrow as a normal day and then wake up Wednesday morning to find out, because I believe Alaska's results don't come in until like midnight, like their last, just due to time zone and everything. So, you can declare a winner on Tuesday, but when you wake up on Wednesday, the results might speak something different. So I'm going to try to... Wednesday will be my Tuesday.
Or like when Bush and Gore went at it, we didn't know until mid-December.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I mean, you went to bed thinking Gore won. You woke up to Bush winning. Bush, did the final thing. So
everyone was like, what? And then when the Electoral College finally got together, we finally found out what went down. So it's a wonderful time, people. It's a wonderful time. So, yes. So we wanted to get something in for the beginning of the month because there's some things to talk about, and we will be back in a few weeks to talk about what I'm assuming will be a glorious King Kong trailer. And we can get Jessica's glee-filled rants, what I'm assuming will be her favorite film of the year, with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It's Harry Potter and cuddly, mystical creatures. There's nothing that she cannot not like in this film. By law, she has to love this film.
I know. I'm so excited. So excited. I think if I was in the universe of Hogwarts and Harry Potter and all that stuff, I would definitely be like a magizoologist. So that would be amazing. That would be my career.
Hey, look, it's given Dan Fogel a new lease on life, which I'm happy to see him bounce back from Mars Needs Moms. And you know what? It looks like a more adult Potter-esque film, which I'm actually looking forward to. I like the Potter film. I'm not a Potter nut. I did like the movies a lot. So I'm quite looking forward to this. And there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. There's Kong, and there's one other trailer coming on that too. What did they say? There was something big coming. I don't remember what. Something just got... Dang it. That's going to bother me. Because we already got Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman came out already. And then Logan, which... Oh my god, Logan. Oh, looks so good. I am very excited for X-23 for Laura Kinney, so we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping she rips a guy's eyes out with her claws. I'm hoping they give us that in this film. Because they promise R-rated, so... But, oh, it looks so good. It looks... You know what it looks like? It looks like Lone Wolf and Cub with mutants. That's what it looks like. And I cannot... Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So... Oh man, that's gonna bother me. There was something big coming with Fantastic Beasts, besides freaking Kong. Oh well, c'est la vie. It is what it is. All right, real quick before we go, I do have a giveaway, as I promised at the top of the show. I have a few Shin Godzilla posters from Funimation. They're 11 by 17 in size, so they're about print size, if you will. They're not like the big theatrical posters, but if you want a little Shin Godzilla to hang on your wall, I have 5 of them to give away. And I'm making it easy. This is what I'm looking for. So I want you guys who aren't following us on Twitter, and if you are, you can still enter this. Go like us on Twitter, and this is what I want sent to us. Just tag us. I need the name of the 3 films Hideki Anno directed before, his live-action films. Let me make that clear. His live-action films, not his animated movies. His live-action films that he directed before Shin Godzilla. It's just a quick Google search. It's not that hard. The first 5 people will get a Shin Godzilla poster from us. And Jessica, what is that Twitter handle that the people can send that to?
You can send it to the Kaiju, the Kaiju Kingdom.
At the Kaiju Kingdom on Twitter.
So there is no podcast at the end of that.
Nope.
So it's just the Kaiju Kingdom.
Yep. Jessica was very, very upset about that too. She's like, "How dare they? How dare they cut that off?" So, and please, if you like what you hear, tell a friend, tell a loved one, tell a neighbor, pass this around. We're trying to get out there. We're trying to reach for that crown of like top kaiju podcast. We want that mountain. We want to hit that mountain peak. So we're doing pretty good. We could do better. So please send the love. We love that you guys are listening. And we're not asking for much. Just if you like it, please, let a loved one know. See if we can hook some more people on to the wonderful world of kaijus. Or if at the very least you love our wacky banter, you could do that. So, on that note, Jessica, besides Twitter, where can the good people find our work?
You can spread the good news and also listen to us. We are on iTunes as the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. We are also on Facebook as the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. And if you would like to write us a private email, good or bad, hopefully good, we are the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast at gmail.com.
And we are also now part of the Panzer Crush Podcast Network at panzercrush.com. We have 2 other shows going. One is set to debut this week. We have the Realmcast Take 2 for all of your nerdy news, if you like that kind of thing. Hosted by myself and Sergio Sanchez. And then our wrestling-based podcast, The Four Post Massacre, hosted by my good friend Charles Music, with me sitting shotgun on that one, debuts later this week. You can find all those on panzercrush.com. You can follow us on Twitter at panzercrush, PANZERCRUSH. And we're also on Facebook at facebook.com/panzercrush, and it's the Panzer Crush Podcast Network. So, you can find all that wonderfulness. I got a lot more lined up for this whole big podcast network thing that we're working on. So, do stay tuned. All right. Well, it's a short episode, but you know what? We're keeping it simple and sweet. That will do it for this edition of the Kaiju Kingdom Podcast. For myself and
Jessica.
Thanks for listening, guys.